Welcome to Five Strike Weekly. Another match against that team from Florida and another 3 points in the bag. Can Atlanta United continue their momentum in the Cup final on Tuesday? We discuss all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, Five Strike fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube or hop over from Facebook and subscribe. It's always great for Joseph Martinez to visit his kids. Joseph loved the kids. And so let's get into a lesson on parenthood, right? 1-0 again. We just, it's 6-2-0 all time against Orlando City. I mean, at this point, yes, there's the talk of, okay, is this a rivalry? Is this all that? There's a lot of bad blood, though, in between all that, in between the lines, also in the stands. Lots of middle fingers being thrown, lots of things, hate mail, death threats being thrown about. And all the while, we just keep racking up W's.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, there's the one, I think it was the first corner of the game where Gress was walking over and there's just the one guy in the corner by himself that just yells, hey, F you, and then waits till he's about to take the corner, and right as he's running up to kick it, throws the bird, and it's just like all on camera. Classy. Although by the end of the game, heard the stadium was empty and just full of a bunch of Atlanta United fans. And apparently there were Atlanta United fans everywhere, not just in this supporter section, just all over the stadium. Yeah, it was...
I think we filled it out more than they actually did because, it was about halfway empty. The tops of it were pretty much barren.
Well, to be honest, the match kind of lived up to the stadium, if we're being honest, because it was a slugfest of an affair on a cow pasture. Yeah. It was bad. It was bad.
It's I think it was kind of Audi Field type of kind of strategery that they were trying to do, maybe. But
it was terrible.
It was terrible. It made the product look just absolutely horrid. I think it is understandable maybe why this game was buried on a Friday night, but
a very hot, humid Friday night, the type of Friday night in Orlando that literally sucks the soul from every player the second they stepped on the pitch. Because that's exactly what it looked like. Both teams, 15 minutes in, they just looked like. I was tweeting about it. I said, looks like two Sunday League teams that went out on a rager the night before and still haven't recovered. Or alternatively, it looks like both teams were required to shotgun 3 beers before the start of each half because they looked absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no pace to this game. There was at points where they were just jogging. But it's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, we got 3 points, so that's great. But getting into it, yes, it was a slogfest. Yes, in terms of the general play, Orlando City kind of had the better chances for sure. They had 22 to 15 shots in total. 5 shots on target to R3. It's I mean, we probably were a little lucky to get all 3 points, but we were clinical when the time came. Joseph Martinez arguably could have gotten a second one. I mean, that damn post.
Yeah, and the pass from Tito later in the second half as well, which could have been a little bit better, and that would have put it to bed as well. If he had finished that chip, that would have been absolutely delicious. And that would have been 2 chips 2 years in a row where he just absolutely disrespects the entire team. 2 different types of chips. But 2 different types of chips. But I think, honestly, like you said, the game... For me personally, it was just 90 minutes of crap with about 10 seconds of absolute quality from Barco and Joseph Martinez.
Yes.
But that's all it required. And sometimes, if you're a good team, it's better to be, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But I think in this case, Atlanta United got its luck, but also it's a good team. And when you're a good team, you ride your luck and get 3 points on the road. And that's what they did. Thankfully, Orlando couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if they were standing in front of it, or really, they couldn't hit the side of a barn if they were standing inside the barn. Because a couple times they had just gilt-edged chances within the box, 6 yards out sometimes, and they just shanked it every single time.
Yeah, Askews and Alcandele, they're...
Death taxes in Orlando City just absolutely shitting the bed,
it didn't matter which forward was part of their front line. It's just, they're gonna miss.
It would help explain why their manager, when every time the TV camera panned to him, just had a sheer look of confusion, just like, what is going on? I don't know what's happening. He just constantly is in a state of, I don't know what's happening. Because that's kind of how his team played with how many chances they created. And it was not Atlanta United's best performance. The weather didn't help. The pitch didn't help. It's a rivalry game. They wanted to beat you. They need to beat you to try to get into the playoffs. But you got 3 points. And at the end of the day, I think that's the most important thing. You also, despite the game being kind of tight, you got Remedi off early. Well, he was off at halftime. Yeah. He wasn't really having a great game, to be fair. And then you got Nagby off, which is, I think, at the time, a very interesting sub. But still, to get Nagby any bit of reprieve is fantastic. So you got a few players off and got some subs on, and you still managed to win the game. So that's the important bit.
Very true, very true. And also, Ezekiel Barco had a very decent game, I think, as well. And the weight of the pass to draw the defenders for Jose Martinez's goal as well. I mean, class. Very, very nice. And it's going to be, a little bit annoying to see him, go on international duty as well. Because, it's just pretty much every time he gets in a flow, then he goes on international duty this season. It's just kind of been the pattern, annoying as such. But, hopefully we can win another trophy in the meantime when, before that happens. But, we talked about the negatives of this, of course. I mean, very jaded looking slog. I mean, just not a lot of chances coming from us as well.
International break actually might come at a great time after the Philadelphia game because these guys deserve 2 weeks off. And I think, honestly, just give them a week to begin with. Just not run and just relax, ice their bodies and do recovery work because they've had a hell of a 2 months of July and August. It's just been absolutely exhausting. It's a shame that like you said, that you see Barco going away, but that international break could actually be pretty good timing.
So it'll revitalize, I think, the fatigued players for sure.
Because you could see the shortcomings in this formation and the style of play that we're having right now.
Yeah, it
if
requires
the team's exhausted and your wingbacks can't track back and your center backs are getting in a lot of one-on-ones and they're also exhausted, then they just are getting pulled all over the shop, and that's a recipe for trouble. And any other night against a better team at Atlanta United might have had a pretty heavy scoreline against them.
Agreed. And so that begs the question of should there have been rotation and whatnot. We'll get to that maybe a little bit later. But also one of the kind of negatives that you don't really like to see was that Julian Gressel, he slaps Nani, which maybe deserved or not.
Be honest, on the inside as an Arsenal fan, that's something you've wanted to see for so long.
Yes, agreed. But, it's...
Also, hold on, pause. Thinking of Nani. So, I was watching the match with Felipe Cardenas, who is a Real Madrid fan, and I joked with him at the time when Nani had that super high boot that almost hit Gressel in the face. Yeah. He got sent off for less than that against Real Madrid in the 2013 Champions League, and I'm still mad about it because we could have won the Champions League again that season, and he kicked a player in the chest, and that didn't even get a card, and his boot was by the man's head.
Yeah, Nani is not known for being cool-headed. That's to be known. And
also, he would have gotten a yellow had Gressel gone down, so I'm fine with the slap because Nani was being a bitch. And I love Nani because he played for Man United, but honestly, dude, you're pulling the man back. What did you expect?
Yeah, and so, there honestly wasn't really a call afterwards. I think, they called a foul maybe.
Well, Gressel got booked, which is a good thing.
That's right.
Because he got booked, it means the ref saw it. Because the ref saw it means they can't go back and ban him retroactively.
Exactly, and that's the beautiful part is there's, nothing happening beyond that. So, good on that. He escapes some kind of real serious, maybe wrongdoing there. But, and in terms of, anything else about this match, I mean,
it was just it's over with, and I think that's the best part.
Exactly, and, 3 points. Another season undefeated against Orlando City. So, not too bad all in all.
Have a nice Orlando.
Exactly. But getting into the post-match quotes, Frank de Boer, he really talked about the fatigue levels and the humidity and whatnot. He said, quote, "We have to try to avoid that we are lucky. But again, you're going to have these type of games during the season. The first half of it was really hot for us, and you have to get used to it. I spoke with Eric Remedi and said that when you're pushing up and you have to track back, you were exhausted. That was not only him." That's fair?
That's fair.
Absolutely, with that heat, with the pitch,
how was there not a water break?
Yeah, honestly. Apparently there was 90% humidity. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, it was 91% humidity, 90 degrees at kickoff. It's just
the players will pass out, but thankfully they didn't. Thankfully there wasn't an incident, but something else maybe should have been intervened. Refs should have been alerted to maybe doing so. But another quote he had was that, on moving forward with the lineup before the international break and persisting with this, he said, well, that helps, of course. I want to always play with the strongest team, but I also look, if someone really you think that he's tired, we have to rotate that on the squad. We can rotate, and I will not hesitate to do that, but we're going to see that now against Minnesota. Our focus is on Minnesota. I just said in my pre-match meeting with the guys, don't think about that. They will go after us if we're not ready yet, and we get injuries and we're on our front feet. We need to get a good result here, and then after the game, we're going to think about Minnesota. I mean, people had some maybe thoughts if the players were thinking about the next match because of the way they were playing, but I think at the end of the day, they were focused on this match, as you can see with the clean sheet in one sense. Yes, they had a lot of chances go by, but there was also the heat, the type of pitch that they played on.
But also, I think the fans. I think that the Atlanta United fans are actually feed off of the Orlando fans' hate.
Sure.
Because the Orlando fans hate them so much and give them so much more shit than they get anywhere else from any other fan base because of how, for lack of a better term, classless they are at times. I mean, booing Justin Meram every single time, understandable, I guess, but still kind of silly. But they love that. And you can see that with Joseph's reaction after the semifinal, the U.S. Open Cup. They love that. And they love being in Orlando because they know it makes all of those people angry. And I think they feed off of that as well. So
of course.
It was nice to see. And I think they were definitely focused on beating them because they don't want to lose just because they enjoy making fun of them, I think.
Agreed. So, and to speak to that, I think Justin Meram had the golden quote after this match about hearing the boos from Orlando City fans. He said, really? That's crazy. I didn't hear it. They didn't bother me. They think they do. They're still upset. I've moved on and I'm feeling great. Again, every time I come here, I'm sure it'll be the same thing, but clearly I'm living in their heads right now, rent-free. And
he's playing on a team that wins trophies.
Exactly. And so, it's almost a thing where if you're a player and you go to Orlando City, you have like a downturn in form. It's just kind of bizarre.
And he talked about that as well in that article that Felipe Cardenas wrote for The Athletic. If you haven't read it, you should check it out. It's a lot of great insight on Justin Meram. And he mentions how there's multiple players that have had good careers in MLS, but then they go there and all of a sudden they don't play well.
Yeah.
So
it's really strange. It's may it continue because I don't care if they do well or not there. But and I think at the end of the day, it's just we got a little lucky. They
unlucky.
Very unlucky. They probably should have scored at least 2 or 3 goals, but
they didn't.
We were clinical at the end of the day. We walk away with 3 points. Happy days. So that's a bow on that match, and let's get into the news and into the standings where we're looking pretty good.
Yes, Atlanta United is tied on 48 points with Philadelphia, with that match coming this coming weekend, but Atlanta United also has a game in hand on Philadelphia, which makes it so much more important because if you can beat them this coming weekend, you are really sitting nice in the East. Unfortunately, our great friends in the New York Red Bulls, and looking at you, E, from the High Press Podcast, we were chatting, you didn't do your job properly and couldn't score when they had easy chances, especially at the end of the game, and they lost to NYCFC. So NYCFC still has destiny in their own hands because they have lots of games in hand. Although they did have a guy get a red card for headbutting someone, which was hilarious because he was confused as, well, am I getting a red card? And it's like, dude, you just straight up Zidane that guy. Like, we have replay. What were you thinking? Absolute idiot.
And NYCFC, they still have the possibility of getting the most points if they are able to, win all those matches, of course.
Oh, and DC United is completely imploding. As everyone.
Which, it could be a thing where, is it Wayne Rooney just, he stopped caring? It could be that. It could be that just, they see the doom and gloom coming. Who knows?
They've lost 4 of their last 6.
Yeah, so, I think we're firmly, in some way, in the driver's seat, but it's just a matter of NYCFC. We just have to see what happens there. But moving on from that, Jose Martinez has won the MLS Goal of the Week with 83% of the vote. That's enormous, and that's even without the, the new introduction of the new CAPTCHA thing with like the robot stuff to make sure you're not a robot, and then also not knowing the percentages. I mean, it's just Atlanta United fans just came out in droves, or I guess other teams' fans as well voted for us as well. So who knows?
I think the pass had a lot to do with it as well, because the pass was sumptuous.
Oh,
so.
for sure, exactly. I think it should be. It's like some people sometimes I think it's like, you know, it has to be just a crazy long distance shot for it to be, you know, a goal of the week or goal of the year, and it's just not always the case. It's like it can be a great play, it can be a great team goal. It doesn't have to be just one type of goal. So
and he was extending a record, which again he extended against Orlando to 12 games.
Exactly. Yeah. So beautiful on that. But yeah, and so going back to another match, in the Portland match, Howard Webb, head of pro referees, he said that P.T. Martinez did in fact earn that penalty that we were all so contentious about. I know. It is ridiculous.
Just put it in the game. Stop apologizing. Joseph would have 2 more goals now and be behind Carlos Vela, but no! Keep denying them. What's it going to be next week? Oh man, that should have been a red card against Atlanta United, but we missed it. Sorry. Just call it in the game. You have VAR. Use it. Like the Premier League doesn't use it. Same difference. You get the point.
Yeah.
Stupid. Quit apologizing.
Yeah, the Prem's kind of dealing with the same shit that we're dealing with in our first year of VAR as well. And yeah, the passion's being taken out of the game and stuff like that. Also, I apologize for your ears for Tanner's rant just a second ago. But
just
it's
call
deserved.
it during the game.
It is deserved. So
like, it can't be that hard. It was obvious. Like, he was taken down from behind, through on goal. I mean, it's 2 matches in a row that they've missed it, and it's like, go look at the screen. What's the person looking at the screen saying?
It's
hey,
true.
come look at it. He got tackled from behind in the box, especially when it's the worst referee in the league.
Yeah, and also, you know, a lot of the player was taken down. There was not a touch on the ball. I mean, or if there was, it's like small.
It was
little
not
touch.
enough.
Yeah, and it didn't change the trajectory of the path. So yeah, either way, yeah, we need to get that sorted out, guys. Pro referees, come on, guys. But yeah, moving on from that, Darren Eales spoke to 92.9 The Game and said this gem of a quote. Our identity is we're a team that wins trophies. That's what we are trying to create here. A team that is a dynasty, a team that can win championships every year. Music to my ears. Oh my God. Yes.
So let's never play like the first half of the season ever again.
Exactly. Let's not, try to deviate really hard from an ethos, a system. I mean, yeah. But anyway, either way, the D word is fantastic. I just, yes, you know, I am a Atlanta fan pretty much. Almost through and through. We're deprived of a lot of championships. And so this is something that's, yes, let's do a lot of. Let's do it, please. But anyway, moving on from that, there's reportedly by DSS that there's an NWSL team coming for Atlanta United.
Or at least they're in preliminary discussions about
preliminary discussions, maybe. But there was cold water thrown on that by the AJC very quickly in a tweet, and so we don't know what the truth is. But you know, the fact is that I think Atlanta United could do well with a women's team and should in the future. You know, I think it would be well supported, and it's just a matter of getting the logistics and everything in tow. So if it's not in, you know, the next 2 years, then still something should happen. So yeah, and speaking of a first team, Luis Fernando, he was spotted with the team celebrating for the Campeones Cup. Everybody was wondering, or not everybody, but a few of us, eagle-eyed, looking at you, Joey Machio and CW3 for yeah, you know, giving us the heads up. But also, it's just like, yeah, is a first team contract coming? And yes, it was. He now is a first team player. He is kind of more of a left winger type of guy that Frank de Boer even mentioned that he's probably looked at as a left winger / left wing back. And so that's more depth in that department. That's great. And yeah, he's kind of that pacey guy that has a few tricks, maybe lacks the end product as of right now, but
a decent cross on him in that game against Stoke Park Rangers a couple weeks back for the Jackson Conway goal from the left-hand side. Dropped it absolutely on a dime for Conway. It was a pretty good assist.
Exactly. And, so he's a guy that, has the potential. It's just if he can live into it. Not the stats aren't, eye-popping at the moment, but I think, we need some depth in a few departments. So, why not? It's someone that can come in if needed in our fixture congestion. So I see it as a good thing. But and also on the day that we play Orlando City, we announce that Jonathan Spector, a former player for them, is now he's joined the club as the head of international player recruitment and development. I believe he's only 33 years old, and but welcome to him. And I think it was super petty that they did that on the day of the game.
It's an interesting hire though, because a lot of the core and a lot of the international players that we bring in are from Latin America, and he doesn't seem like a player that really.
He's a U.S. men's international. He played a lot in the Prem though. For pretty much I think 8 years was in and around the
Premier League,
the top league, in the championship. So there is a little bit of that. I think maybe some relationships have been built, perhaps, but we don't know the extent of his prowess and maybe his connects. So there is that, but he'll be working with I think Carlos Bocanegra pretty closely, and if there's the kind of Latin thing that he's lacking, I think Bocanegra has that in spades, so it might be okay. But and also let's see. The Atlanta United Unified team also did the business against Orlando City with a mirrored locker room shot. I think almost a little bit more personality even than the first team. You have homie. I believe it's Antonio. He's eating some pretzels in the corner. I mean, I think it's always hilarious every single time. If we play Orlando City, and generally we beat them, we take a locker room selfie.
The Unified team, following them from the first team. They know what's up. They know what's up when that game happens.
Oh, yeah. And also something I also love to see, since I am a Braves fan, Dansby Swanson and Florentin Pagua kind of swap jerseys a little bit, and it's always great to see that type of collaboration. Florentin Pagua, who knew, into baseball, so that's cool. But it's one of those things where I wonder if people from Europe even are interested in baseball at that time.
He's a Pogba. They do what they want, man.
Yeah, this is true. But moving on to Atlanta United 2, they unfortunately lost 3-2 to Hartford Athletic on Saturday. And Andrew Carlton scored his first goal of the season, and he added an assist for Brandon Vasquez, who was also back. He netted his third goal of the year for the USL side. And unfortunately, Carlton also got a red and was sent off. But, such things happen.
Sometimes it's like that.
Who knows? Who knows what it was
He almost
for,
completed if he would have only missed the penalty, it would have been the Luis Suarez hat trick. Goal, missed penalty, red card. Nice.
And then he just needed to bite somebody. Yep. But LA United 2, they returned to action on Wednesday night against Memphis 901. And Lagos Kunga, of course, is on loan there. And I believe he is able and eligible to play against us. So, good luck to us and also to him. Hopefully he doesn't score a game winner for them or anything like that. But also for Atlanta United 2, lots of Atlanta United 2 news, really interesting. But they announced that midfielder Amir Bashti, who we drafted in the 2019 MLS Super Draft, has now signed with the Twos. Interesting, because he was not signed after the Super Draft, and I think it was probably because of a few things. Maybe he wasn't seen as a first-team player, but he is, I think, something that they want to keep an eye on for the Twos. So either way, they kind of just let him go in limbo for a little bit of time, and then I believe he went to a kind of Northern California team that was in Championship 1, and so either way, welcome back, Amir Bashti, and hopefully you can kick on and do something for this club, and wish you the best of luck. But yeah, so let's get to our buy or sell segment. And simply, we offer up a topic and we say if we buy or sell it. So first topic is, if we win the US Open Cup, getting Champions League is a good thing.
Buy, 100%. That's where this club wants to be. That's where this club aspires to be, is to testing itself against the best teams in CONCACAF. And I think this club wants to win the Champions League. They showed it earlier this year, but things didn't go well for you. You played the team that ended up winning. So that was frustrating. But I think that as the league continues to grow, I think what happens at the CBA will be very interesting, because that could potentially open up some more areas where Atlanta United can strengthen itself. But they want to be challenging those Mexican teams, and that's what they showed you in the Campeones Cup against America. And they beat Monterrey in the return leg of that Champions League tie earlier this season. So that's where Atlanta United wants to be. I know they want to win that trophy, so that's absolutely a good thing, because you're not sure if you're going to get it via the league, but you need to get there any way you can. So winning the US Open Cup and getting that would be perfect for me. So I buy.
Yeah, I also buy. I think it's also, though, I know that there are some people that are like, okay, in this form and in the fashion that, the TAM and GAM and just our roster restrictions that we have currently for MLS, it restricts the possibility of us competing with the just enormous transfer fees and salaries and just the amount that these Mexican teams can spend. And so yes, it is going to be difficult, and yes, with that kind of fixture congestion, you deal with maybe not the results that you want there, and then your results in the league suffer. Then kind of what we essentially dealt with early on this season, and a lot of MLS teams deal with that are part of that competition. But I think at the end of the day, it's still a very, very good thing to be part of this competition. And the fact is that we've put a lot of pressure already on MLS to loosen up or create more rules to kind of alleviate the problems that we're facing. I think LA Galaxy are also a team that are creating those kind of pressures as well.
They're creating new loopholes is what they're doing.
And that as well. Yeah, Christian Pavon, man, what the fuck? But that's
what are
not
rules.
Yeah, what are rules? But really though, I think at the end of the day, as many times as we're in the competition, that will gain us experience. And I think, hopefully MLS will notice that, yes, okay, like we need to help these teams that want to do well in this competition. Because you can see that it's fairly close to some degree, and then it's just a matter of just injecting that little bit of the talent that we need. So, next topic, we should have rotated the 11 against Orlando City. Buy or sell?
I'm going to sell it. I think ideally you would have hoped to have gone in and beaten them and been able to have a comfortable scoreline and rotated your guys out of the game. But with where you are in the league right now, you want that home field advantage in the playoffs because you feel so much better about it. Yeah. You can't afford to throw away that game in hand that you have against Philadelphia. And having, hindsight being 2020, a rotated side, you might not have gotten that result. So it's unfortunate, but you also lack depth in certain areas. I mean, guys that you would have liked to see rotated is a Julian Gressel, but who are you going to play there? You don't have anyone that can play there. So I think, I sell that because A, you couldn't have done it, I don't think, and B, you had to get that win as well.
Yeah, I think, I think it's a sell, but it's with a caveat of that maybe we should have rotated a couple guys where, we could have given them a little bit more reprieve, but I think at the end of the day, because we were able to get a Remedi and Nagby off of the pitch, and get them some rest, I think is very, very good. And the fact is that we got 3 points. So, in hindsight, it all looks great anyway, so it's not a terrible thing, but I just worry for Minnesota. I mean, it's one of those, the energy levels in this type of system, we need a lot of it, and it's just, we're gonna have to kind of muster it from somewhere. And at the end of the day, we just, we'll just have to put kick on and hope that Frank de Boer's decision making is correct here. But I think at the end of the day, I think all will sort itself out. But let's get into the mailbag, and simply, you guys send in your questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. First question comes from Liv Moss. Who would you want ATL to play first come playoffs? It's tough, yeah, because it's
there's a lot going on in the bottom half of the playoff standings because Montreal recently sacked their coach, and they now have Wilmer Cabrera in there. Toronto are just a mixed bag. Orlando, if they had a few results go their way, could find themselves in there. DC United are falling apart, but they could still end up there, and they're just a bogey team for us. Well, they were for a while, but I think you're playing better. I mean, right now, if you had to pick a team to play at home, I'd probably say DC, just because they just don't seem to have their heads in it, and if they continue to struggle, they might come in at one of those lower seeds and not be too fussed one way or the other. But at the same time, it's like they still are a dangerous team, but they have been woeful recently. If you have had me pick one, I guess I'd probably go with DC just based on their recent form. But that being said, it's still hard to tell, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to be in a playoff against Wayne Rooney ever, because if he's just motivated, I've seen the horrors that he can achieve. So yeah, I don't really want to face DC United. Toronto FC obviously are currently in that spot right now. That would be decent of a matchup. It's not a terrible matchup for us, especially at home.
Altidore could be a problem, though.
Altidore could be a problem. Yeah, if they have an uptick in form, then, well, maybe they don't end up in the 7th spot. But I think the easiest one probably for us would be a New England Revolution, I think.
Yeah.
I
forget that they're even there.
Yeah, no, it's really strange and how they're up there to begin with. I mean, Bruce Arena, I guess, is doing some good
That's
for
a
them.
good pick, and that changed my mind, New England. I forgot, the fact that they're even in and about, that's just kind of boggles
They're
my
just
mind.
like ghosting in there, and people are forgetting about them, which, I mean, might be a good thing for them, but it's also, I think they just kind of lack the overall talent to really do much in the playoff.
I think they're there because the East on a whole has been pretty meh.
Yeah, and so, hopefully, for me, it's a Revolution. So, next question comes from A. Watkins 2123. Who has been the player of the season so far, in your opinion? In my opinion, it has been Robinson. It's a great shout. It's a really great shout.
I'll let you take this one first.
Sure, yeah, no, put me on the spot first. I think, I mean, it could be Robinson. He has been a rock at the back, although there have been some matches where it's like, okay,
He struggled against Orlando.
He struggled there. He struggled a little bit, I think, at Portland a little bit, but I think it's because of just match fixture and congestion and all that. It's tough, but I think at the end of the day, it's still, for me, Joseph Martinez, the guy who has finished off our chances to a regularity. Where would this team be without a Joseph Martinez? Like, it's the old saying, and I think it holds true, the goals win games. You have to have someone that finishes off these chances, and Joseph Martinez is amongst, if not the best in the league at doing it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's the most straightforward answer. Has got to be Joseph Martinez, because it doesn't seem that really outside of him too many people can score goals consistently. You would have hoped that PT and Barco, for all the good that they have done in build-up play and the good form they have been in, they haven't really scored you the goals that you'd like to see to take some of that pressure off Joseph, or to help your team score more goals and be more convincing. I'd say if you had to pick a player outside of Joseph, because I think he is the understood choice, I think you could also say Darlington Nagbe, because if you take him out of the side, I don't know how the team functions up until it gets to the final third, because in terms of winning the ball back, controlling the tempo, bringing the ball out of, through possession,
just
connecting everything. You take either one of those two players out of the team, I think this team is a whole lot worse off. But I agree with Joseph Martinez. But if we can't pick a Joseph, then I'd say Darlington.
Right, and I think that speaks volumes on what type of team we have, like, down our spine. That's what a lot of people harp on as being so important in a good team, is that your spine is really, really strong, and you have a Miles Robinson who's playing really well. You have a Darlington Nagbe who's playing really well, and Joseph Martinez.
And Brad Guzan and Net, who's leading the league in clean sheets.
Yeah, exactly.
So
with 12.
Another one. Where's the 13 now?
Is it 13? It's 13 now.
now.
So, yeah, exactly. And that's just beautiful, to see. So, next question comes from Matteo Andante. In what game will Bello make his appearance or reappearance with the first team?
Honestly, I have no idea. Depending on maybe how the cup game goes, he might be on the bench or in the 18 for that. I don't know. But the thing is that Justin Meram has been playing really, really well as a left wing
position
back.
there. Yeah.
And I think he's the best player on the team right now in that position. And with as much potential and future that Bello has, Meram is a better player right now. He's more experienced. He knows how to play in this league, and he's a bit of a renaissance man for Atlanta United. He's been incredible since he joined, and Dion Pereira hasn't been bad either, and he's gotten a lot of experience and played some decent match time as well. So I honestly don't know. I think that you could try to put him in there, but also you don't need to shoehorn him in there. If he's not ready, let him play at the twos the rest of the season and let him get back with the first team next year. But right now, you're pretty good as far as who you have starting in that in your first 11. So I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we need to play a 4 at the back at some point or something like that when Franco Escobar returns, then maybe, you see George Bello come back in, because at that point, our wing backs, we wouldn't use them. And so, Justin Meram and Julian Gressel. But that's the thing. It's like, if both are healthy, and by God, I hope they're both healthy, we're going to persist in our 3-5-2.
It's just the system that suits this team the best. Is this system right here, right now. So.
Yep. Next question comes from Eduardo V14. Do you see Vishalba coming back into the starting 11 anytime soon?
Probably not, for a couple of reasons. One, his knee is still giving him problems. It was a pretty finicky knee injury, and from everything that I have heard, he still doesn't fully trust his knee, and if you don't fully trust your knee, then you don't need to be going out there and giving everything. I think that right now, he doesn't fit the system necessarily as well unless he's playing up front with a Joseph. Now, if you wanted to rotate the squad and say maybe rest Pity or a Barco, then I could see him coming in and playing there. But as the team is set up right now, I think he's best suited as coming off the bench the last 15, 20 minutes of a match against tired legs and exploiting that space in behind, which is a very, very dangerous and amazing asset to have on the bench. I just don't see where he gets into the starting 11 right now unless we're rotating.
Yeah, agreed on all those.
Healthy.
Yeah, exactly, and that as well. And especially that's like what we're dealing with is not only the injury and his recovery, but also that in terms of first choice, it's going to be PT or Barco over what Tito can offer, and it's just the unfortunate part. We all love Tito. It's just a matter of the logistics of what you can see and where he can come in. It's just not a lot of possibilities at the moment. Last question comes from Ab Outdoor. If MLS adds a 4th DP this year, what position do you go for? I'm thinking a wingback or CMD. I think you mean a defensive midfielder or a CDM. But go for it.
I mean, honestly, from everything that I've heard, the Players Union wants the DP rule to go away entirely because they think it's stupid and it restricts teams, which I would love for that to happen. If just to go with your question, if they do add a 4th DP spot, where would I put it? I think a CDM would be great, but to find someone of the quality that you want to get them to play in MLS at that spot is very, very difficult because it is a very specialized position and they're very much sought after because in the modern game, how a lot of teams play, you need a very high-level person to sit there. I don't know where you would find that. I guess that's what the scouting department's for. So if you could pick anyone, I definitely would have it there because if you have someone like that can sit back there, break everything up, and distribute the ball, look at, say, a Fernandinho at Man City or also a Rodri now at Man City, having guys that can sit there and dictate play is fantastic. That being said, yeah, I'd actually probably go with that. I just don't know where you'd find them because you already have 3 attacking players that are on it, and you're not going to spend that money on a wingback because it's the same thing. If they're a high-level fullback, they're not playing in MLS.
Right. I think for this season, which is what you mentioned, and for right now, I mean, I would definitely get a starting level left back. I mean, it really would be. That's what would complete the team if we wanted to play in different types of formations. Because Bello isn't quite ready / he's not recovering in time to be kind of a factor maybe in the stretch run. Hopefully he is, and hopefully he can play a big part. But if you're talking about right now, like that's kind of the flexibility that it would add with someone that's really high level, and that'd be fantastic. I mean, it would allow us to maybe have someone sit with that kind of early on Tata Martino kind of tactic when we did play 4 at the back. Someone sit in the middle of those 2 center backs and then let the fullbacks bomb forward. And if a Franco Escobar is healthy, then it's, you can have a field day. But yeah, I think it's a left back, and I mean a central defensive midfielder. It would be helpful, but I'm not really sure that, in this kind of setup, if it is persisting with 3-5-2, we need one.
If you play with a back 4, then yes. But if you're playing with a back 3, you don't need one as much.
Yeah, you only need central midfielders, really. I mean, you just need guys that are very mobile and can do everything. So, but that does it for the mailbag and gets us to our Wasteman of the Week.
Yes, our Wasteman of the Week, and I have been waiting for this moment for a very long time. I didn't bring the note. I'm sorry, I no longer have it. I threw it in the garbage after we beat them in the semifinal because I thought, it doesn't really matter anymore. My Wasteman of the Week goes to whoever watches this show, because clearly you watch this show, or you have at some point in time, and I imagine because Orlando City's involved, you're probably watching again just to see what we say. Don't send things to my work anymore. That's illegal, and I have people that have nut allergies. It's kind of a stupid move. But to the person who sent me a package with some spray-painted purple nuts and a note that says, Orlando City will win 2019, whatever the hell that means, you didn't beat Atlanta United. And honestly, we don't really care because we never talk about Orlando City on this show outside of when we play them. And when we play them, we beat them, even when it's important, like the semifinal, which you didn't do there, and you couldn't do it here. So it doesn't matter. So you, whoever you are, random person on the internet, Wasteman of the Week, go and do one, mate, because honestly, pretty pathetic to send something to my work and you not even back it up.
Yep.
Roser Pod is whatever it was. I don't know who that is, but ROZR Pod. That's what it was signed. So to you, good sir, you know what? Just have a nice, because your life is clearly miserable being an Orlando fan. So just
very much so. But anyway, that does it for Wasteman of the Week and gets us to the match preview. It's another cup final, and we're
what do those feel like, random Orlando fans?
Oh, but yeah. So we're going against our expansion brothers in Minnesota United, and it's Tuesday, which is annoying me actually, because it's a cup final. Why are you playing on a Tuesday? You're burying it, essentially.
Did you know that when Manchester United won the Champions League and then the FA Cup and the league, that season called the Treble, where you win 3 trophies, potentially, knock on wood, we'll see. That Champions League was played midweek. Really weird. Think about that.
That's
like the fact bizarre. Like really, really. I think it was a Wednesday.
You're just It's
just like, why would you do that?
You're basically you're saying that I don't want anybody to watch it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
This game should be on the weekend because as far as I'm concerned, this is a really good game.
Oh, yeah.
And as much as we've been joking about it, Minnesota United is a very good team. They did lose this past week on Wednesday or Thursday to SKC, but that doesn't matter because in the US Open Cup, they've been good. Yeah. And they've been scoring goals. They beat a solid Portland team in the semifinals to get to this point in time. You could tell they are up for it. It means a lot to them, and they want to win this trophy. And it is not going to be an easy match for Atlanta United at all.
It will not. And so it is an 8 p.m. time as well. Another annoying part of that. I mean, it's just like, honestly, I get it because it's Minnesota United, and so in terms of central time, you have to find a balance. But again, no one's gonna watch this. But hopefully we all do, and all our fans do, and both fan bases do, all that. But either way, I don't know outside of that if some of the other teams' fans are, and that's the shame. But either way, anyway, so getting into our form and their form recently, which, I mean, yes, it's MLS form, but still, either way, I think it kind of plays a part into this competition because of just momentum. For Minnesota United, they have a very spotty, kind of up and down, inconsistent record as of late in their last 6. A draw, win, loss, win, draw, loss. They're just all over the place, all over the shop. And for us, I mean, we've pretty much won 5 of our last 6. So ain't too bad in that regard. So we definitely have a momentum going. And yeah, we have the experience of winning cup finals. And so it's kind of, hopefully we can bring that in tow. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the previous matchups, it's been kind of, a little bit interesting, I think. Not a little bit interesting, hella interesting. 6-1, our very first win, our, just kind of record win for, at the time anyway.
First hat trick for Joseph.
Yeah, and so we won 6-1 there. We unfortunately lost 2-3 at the Benz with a red card.
Went 2-1 up as well.
Yeah,
and they had those 2 goals.
We had to go to our third string goalkeeper.
Yeah,
it was
that
just
was
insane.
A whole thing.
That was Kyle Rainish. I'm just sorry. That was shocking and
I
was
forget
crazy.
he even plays for this.
He played, yeah, man. And in 2018, we played them to a 1-0 win on the
freezing
road.
cold.
In the freezing cold. LGP got sent off really early. There's been a theme of red cards in this matchup. It's very strange, but 2, not that much of a pattern, but still.
2 out of 4, 50%.
Yeah, 50%. And then also, but this year we, beat them 3-0. So,
but that game was a bit flattering at the end because
Yes.
you had 2 goals go in late on. You had the Ikapara back pass which Joseph just ran onto, and that was a horribly mistimed on his part. And he's a much better defender than that. And
He is.
on the whole, they've been one of the better teams in the Western Conference. I believe they're currently sitting 4th in the standings
Correct,
out west.
yeah.
So they are a good team, and like I touched on before, they're dangerous, and they have experience of winning in this building. And their coach is going to have them playing with definitely the us against the world type mentality.
Sure.
And they will look to hold Atlanta United and then break against them.
Right.
And if Atlanta United are tired, if Atlanta United are sloppy, they will not miss chances like Orlando City.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to leave this team space at the back because they've got some very quality players up front that will look to hit Atlanta United on the break, and that's going to be their plan. And if it, again, it's going to be tough, and I expect it to be a very difficult game, but if Atlanta United can draw on their experience at the Campeones Cup, that was a much better side in Club America, with all due respect to Minnesota, and you beat them straight up.
Right.
It's going to be a different type of game, but Atlanta does have that cup experience, that cup final experience to draw on that Minnesota doesn't have.
Right. They're going to look to smash and grab. That's, the tactic, and that's kind of how they play throughout the season mostly anyway, against kind of the, more top sides anyway. But, they love creating scoring chances, and that's really what they are able to do. They will try to steal the ball from us as well, and so we'll have to really take care of it. And I think with the Donovan Nagby in the middle, hopefully he can do what he normally does. But they're a team that doesn't keep a lot of possession. They don't win a lot of aerial duels, which is actually kind of really good for us, especially if they're looking to smash and grab. It's interesting. But
they've got speed in behind.
They've got speed in behind, and so they will try to counter. And also defending set pieces, they're pretty weak at, and they commit a lot of individual errors. So kind of really good in that respect. We have the skillful players that can maybe draw that foul. Also good.
But it's also a cup final, and things can go out the window in a cup final very quickly.
Exactly.
So
it's gonna be that type of thing where we have to be very weary, and we have to make sure we keep our head cool as well. But another part of their style is they love attacking down the right. They take a lot of shots and they attempt a lot of crosses, but I imagine it's not really going to a really target man, which you have Darwin Quintero. Essentially, he's their talisman. He's their guy that in this competition, he scored 6 goals already. Yeah. That's outrageous. And Angelo Rodriguez also has 4 in this competition too. So, it's one of those things where, we have to keep a really close eye on Darwin. But for us, our leading goal scorer in this competition is Brandon Vasquez, who I'm not really so sure is going to see a really large part in this match. But still, either way, it will be, hopefully he can be part of the 18, and he can feel like he's part of this because he definitely was a part of getting us through the earlier rounds. But in getting into the injured players for Minnesota United, Kevin Molino, their midfielder, he's out with a left leg injury, and he's really the only guy that, so far, it seems like, that is maybe going to be missing for them. And for us, of course, Breck Shea is out, and what's going to be questionable is Franco Escobar, which I don't think he's really going to be playing. Very questionable, because he hasn't been training. He just isn't back yet, I don't think. But if he is, that'd be incredible. But I don't know if he should start, because that's just maybe a little too soon if he hasn't gotten the match fitness. But getting into some of the match facts, why don't you help me on that?
Yeah, so Atlanta United have come in really good form. They have won 6 of their last 7 matches and have kept clean sheets in 5 of those 7 matches. And again, it may sound like repetitive, but keeping a clean sheet is going to do you a whole lot of favors. And for Atlanta United, getting that first goal, we've talked about it so many times throughout this pod, when playing at home how important that first goal is. It's a cup final, it's a one-off, which means they have to go for it. If Atlanta United can get that first goal and can start to force Minnesota to come out and play, to draw them out, to create more space, that will help Atlanta United tremendously. Because as soon as Minnesota starts really opening up, that's where you're going to have the Ezequiel Barcos and the PT Martinez's finding those spaces in between the lines to turn and to create chances for Joseph Martinez. So this game being a cup final against an opponent that you are expected to beat more than any other time, you have to get that first goal and cannot concede any easy mistakes. And Florentine Pogba will be targeted this game because they attack down the right, which will be Atlanta United's left-hand side. So whether it be Dion Pereira or Justin Meram starting on the left, they're going to have to be very keyed in on where Minnesota United attackers are. Otherwise, Florentine Pogba is going to be left on an island doing a lot of defending. And for all the good that Florentine Pogba can do on the ball, in the air, he's not the best one-on-one defender. So that's going to be something that they're going to look to exploit. And
pace-wise, he's not exactly the quickest dude. And so, Justin Meram and Florentine Pogba, I think, will have to stick pretty close to each other so that they can kind of bail each other out of any type of situation that might be dangerous. And another big part, I think, is what our energy level is going to be because, we look pretty sluggish against Orlando City, and then now, in our type of system, we need to have really high energy levels to press, to do the things that we want to do, and that's going to be very, very important for this match. And a question is that will there be rotation? I think Frank de Boer is probably going to stick with a pretty similar thing that he's had going on, like he said. And also, keeping that cool head, super important. It seems like it's been kind of a thing, at least in my eyes anyway. So anyway, that gets us to our predicted starting 11, which we kind of maybe allude to what our thoughts are going to be, but let's get into it nonetheless.
We agree 100% on where every player that we have starting in this 11, and we think it's going to be our strongest 11. So it's going to have Guzan in net, then LGP, Robinson, and Pogba across the back.
And then it's going to be Gressel, Remedi, Nagbe, and Meram across wingback and central midfield.
And then, of course, your 3 DPs, Barco, Pity, Joseph up top. I think the only interesting thing you might see is instead of Remedi, possibly a Lorenowitz. That's really the only thing for me that I could see changing from that, just because Lorenowitz is going to give you more of a positional discipline and help you break up any potential counterattacks that they have. Right. But at the same time, you're expecting to dominate possession. You would want a little bit more going forward, and you're going to get that with Eric Remedi. Although then again, Larry does score bangers. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did quite well in a cup final recently, so might not be too bad if he actually gets in there. But I feel like, I think to contain a Darwin, you need as much pace on the pitch. So it's one of those. Eric Remedi has that on the advantage-wise versus Larry.
And it will be in a controlled climate sealed dome, so they won't be exactly exhausted immediately from humidity and heat.
I expect the players to be very much up for this game as well. They might have had an eye on this throughout the week, and so the time has come. The time has come to win another trophy. So what are our score predictions? What do you got?
I'm going 2-1. I think it's going to be a very tight game. I don't think we will keep a clean sheet because Minnesota's been playing well, and I think that the energy levels will be there, but I think it'll be just low enough for them to get a goal, and it will be very nervy. But for me, it's a cup final. Atlanta United has that experience now, coming off of a really big confidence-boosting cup final against America at home. I think they're going to be up for it. I think the quality sees Atlanta United through, and I think they will win another trophy. 2-1 for me.
Yeah, I have the exact same score prediction, and I agree. Yeah, it's one of those things where our energy levels might not be where they're where we want them to be, where they're required to be, but I think we have the goods to see this out. And I have a cheeky kind of goal score prediction. I think that Florentine Pogba will get his first forward.
Wow, I'd love that. I mean, defenders in cup finals, I guess. That would have.
It just kind of happens, It's just like someone's gonna step up. You saw Larry step up. You saw
Pogba goal.
Yeah, exactly, and he would lose his mind, I'm sure, and have the best time. So
and it'd be a great dance. Yeah. There'd be a dance.
Oh yeah. I don't know what kind of dance it would be.
It'd be a dance. It'd be awesome. I'd love it.
Dance. But so either way, we both have us winning another trophy for LA United, and we hope that is the case. Knock on wood. But that does it for the match preview. Knock on his head. But that gets us to the question of the day.
And guys, the question of the day is this. Would winning the U.S. Open Cup and the Campeones Cup be enough for you to say that Atlanta United has had a successful season? For me, I still think there's a lot more to do in MLS and a lot more to do in the playoffs. But still, get down in the comments below and let us know what you guys have to say.
But guys, that's it for us today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button and share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.